Hey guys, I'm Steve Freeman. Welcome to this week's video. This week, it's all about songwriting, and actually this week's video comes from an email from one of you guys. Yes, I do read those emails. Anyway, let's jump right into it.
Gather up, you weary souls. Show 'em you ain't dead. Tell 'em no, you ain't coming home. Woo, rise. Woo, rise. Woo,
Like I said, guys, today we are talking about songwriting. And I cannot tell you, I mean, it'd have to be at least 50 emails that I get a week from songwriters all over the world wanting to know how to actually make money from their songs, how to get their songs pitched to major artists, and how that process works. And I got an email the other day from a new subscriber, and I thought, you know what, I haven't actually done a video on this process, so I thought, you know what, today is a good day to do it. Before we get involved in it, guys, if you haven't already, please hit that subscription button below. Make sure you hit the bell notification icon next to it so that you're notified every time I upload new content. All right, I hope he doesn't mind, but I'm actually gonna read the email that I got because it's almost verbatim just the same email that I get from hundreds of you guys from all over the world. And he asks the same questions everybody else asks. So I'm gonna read this email, we're gonna go through it, then I'm gonna break this process down into 3 steps so that it's easy for you to remember and you actually kind of know what you're doing. So the email comes from Mike Zimmerman, and here's what Mike writes. Steve, after viewing a couple of your more recent vlogs, I subscribed. Thanks for the subscription, man. Appreciate it. He says, great, real world advice, painfully real world, but solid. Maybe you've covered this topic before, but it's the topic of songwriting specifically. That is, what's the best way to get a song in front of an artist without becoming a performer yourself? I have no illusions of fame or fortune, but I do think I have a few good ones with great hooks, beginning, middle, and ends, and nice melodies that would be ideal for particular singers. Even though the days of Chris Christopherson flying a chopper onto Johnny Cash's lawn or Billy Joe Shaver confronting Waylon Jennings at a studio are long over, I'm just wondering what's the best way to get some of these songs in front of people. For example, do I need to record them professionally with a band? Do I need to investigate agents of artists and pitch them myself? By the way, I went to CSAC to start registering these, but they are not taking affiliates at this time. I'll shoot for BMI. Thanks again, Steve, and thanks even more if you get the chance to respond. So, Mike, yes, I'm gonna respond. I've broken this down into 3 parts. One part is understanding the business. You have to understand the business that you're getting into and how it works right now. Not how it worked 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and oddly enough, not even how it worked 3 months ago. This business changes just about every day, but these 3 parts: 1, understanding the business; 2, how to put yourself in the best position to succeed; and 3, you gotta be persistent and consistent. Okay guys, listen up. Here's the first part. Like I said before, is understanding the business. You know, you can't really go into anything if you don't know what you're getting into. And you certainly can't expect to succeed if you're getting into something that you don't understand. So for songwriters, the first part, understanding the business, is probably one of the most important things that you can actually do. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. And I know I've said this in several vlogs before, but I think it bears repeating, and you have to know. One of the biggest misconceptions in our business, and I can't tell you the number of times I've actually heard this, it blows me away every time. We as songwriters do not sell our songs. We write for publishing companies that then pitch those songs to A&R representatives, managers, record labels. When it comes to TV and film pitching, they pitch them to music supervisors and things like that. But we do not sell our songs. We don't write a song and then we take it to an artist and that artist says, I'll give you $5,000 for the song. Please get that big misconception out of your head first off when trying to understand the business. We do not sell our songs. Very important. The second thing you really need to understand is another big misconception that a lot of people have about Nashville, and it's understandable because the establishment in the industry itself really seem to perpetuate this falsity, and that is that it's all about the song. Guys, it's not. And if you want proof of that, I've said it before, turn your radio on. Listen for 30 minutes. Shoot, listen for 5 minutes. I can promise you that the stuff that you're hearing on the radio is not the best that us songwriters here in Nashville have to offer. But there are a lot of different factors and a lot of different reasons that go into why a song gets cut by a major artist. In all honesty, the biggest part of that process is honestly, it has a lot to do with your relationship with a publisher. Are you a staff-signed songwriter for a reputable publishing company? What is the creative director's relationship at your publishing company? What's their relationship like with the record labels in town or with the various managers of the established artists? What's that relationship like? What is your, if any, relationship to the record labels or the artist or the managers themselves? This is a relationship business. So where a lot of times you hear these awesome things about, oh, it's all about the song, and if you just have the right song, then you'll get that cut, or that artist will love it because it's the perfect song, or you think it's the right song. The song really doesn't matter, guys. That's why I often say I don't delve out criticism to songwriters. I get tons of emails and phone calls about and from songwriters that want me to critique their work. I don't do that. I do from time to time work with songwriters, and I do offer a service where I will help them with their songs, but I do not critique other artists' work. I don't accept criticism on mine, so I don't give it out. But it isn't all about the song. It is maybe 5% song and 95% relationship. So if you want to get cuts on major artists and you want to understand the business, one of the most important things that you can realize and understand is that it's not about the quality of the song. It's about the relationship that the person that's going to pitch it to that artist or that record label, it's about the relationship they have. Also, in the same vein of being very honest with you guys, and following up on it's not all about the song, you have to realize that getting an outside cut on a major artist is very difficult to do. There are anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 professional signed staff writers at publishing companies that write for major independent publishing companies and that write for publishing companies that are affiliated with a record label, like a Sony ATV is a sister publishing company to Sony. You've got Warner Chappell that is a part of the Warner Brothers family. Big Machine has their own publishing company. You've got all of these already pre-established publishing companies that are paying staff songwriters to write songs. And these writers are going in and they're writing twice a day, and they are writing a lot of songs. And they're writing for a company that already has established relationships, whether it be a relationship between that publishing company and an in-house record label, or it be the writers themselves have a direct connection to the artist. And so a lot of times it doesn't even go through channels. There was a Keith Urban song that came out, what was it, I guess 2 years ago now, maybe not even that long, maybe a year ago. And I used to write with one of the writers of that song all the time. And it's kind of funny how this happened. They were in the studio writing this song, and the minute they got done, one of the other writers just emailed it to Keith Urban. 30 seconds after they were done writing the song, he emailed a rough over to Keith. Keith ended up cutting it, it went on the record, and the song went #1. So you have to understand that you are also battling those kind of situations. You have to know what you're up against. Getting an outside cut on a major artist that's going to develop that kind of revenue that you hear everybody talking about, whether it be, you know, $750,000 to $1 million, it is extremely rare. If you don't have those relationships, if you don't write for a reputable publishing company, and if you don't have those direct relationships with the artists themselves. Now, I always tell people I don't say that to discourage anybody whatsoever. I kind of put it like this. The lottery is popular because usually only one person wins, but millions of people are buying tickets every day. And what's the old saying on the lottery? You can't win if you don't buy a ticket. So I don't want to be discouraging to you, but I want you to understand what you're up against and what you're facing. This is a relationship business. You need to understand the business. You need to understand how it works. You need to start developing those relationships for yourself. Know the steps that it takes from where you go from having an idea to writing a song to getting it to the right person and hoping that that right person has the relationship that they can take that song where they want to go. I know that that sounds like a daunting and difficult process because it is, but it takes a lot of passion, it takes a lot of dedication, and it takes a lot of thick skin, and it takes a lot of no's to get to that one yes that really matters. If you'd like more information on the actual business of songwriting, I actually did a video on, it's actually titled The Business of Songwriting. If you want to check that out, I'll link it right up here, and I'll also put a link down below in the description. So summarize part number one, understand the business, know how it works. Don't just take what you've heard from people and think that it will apply to you. Actually do the research yourself and find out, know the steps, and know how this process really works. You cannot just assume because you've got some great songs that if somebody hears it, they're going to get cut. It just doesn't work that way. There's so many other factors that go into what songs an artist cuts. And unfortunately, a lot of times those decisions are based on financial matters. How much is the record label going to make off of it? They would much rather cut a song by an in-house writer than they had from an outside writer and have to share that money. So you need to know everything that you're up against, and that all boils down to knowing the business. Hey guys, all right, let's jump into part two. The first thing that you need to do, if you haven't already, is you need to join a performing rights organization, or as we call it, a PRO. That is either ASCAP, CSAC, or BMI. Now, anybody can join BMI or ASCAP as a composer or as a creator or even as a publisher if you wish, but I don't want to go too far into that because that's another hour-long video in itself, as is copywriting. Now, joining a PRO and actually registering your works is not the same as copywriting your works. I'm not gonna go into that, but I did touch on that a little bit in the Business of Songwriting video that, again, you can check out in the video that's linked right up here or down there in the description. Although, I'm not a copyright law person, so I don't like getting into the details of how to copyright and how not to copyright. Your publisher can talk to you about that, or you can do some more research on your own and figure that out because it's very important. But what we will talk about is the importance of joining a performing rights organization and actually registering your works, either doing it once a month, once a quarter. I have a publishing deal, so my publisher takes care of that for me, but I also like them to do it regularly, like every 2 weeks or at worst case every month, because I want to know that as I'm writing these songs, they are being registered with my PRO. Now, as I was saying, anybody can join ASCAP or BMI as a composer, songwriter, or publisher. BMI charges you to start an affiliated publishing company. ASCAP does not. Neither one of them charge you to join as a composer or songwriter. Mike was saying in his email that he went to CSAC, and I think he might have done that because he saw another one of my videos and saw that I was a CSAC writer. You have to have an invitation to join CSAC. So if you would like to join CSAC, you can certainly reach out to them, but they generally aren't accepting new affiliates, and the people that they do want to associate with them, they will send an invitation. So you kind of want to focus your time in this area with either BMI or ASCAP. I wrote for BMI for 15 years before I accepted the invitation from CSAC to join them. I will say that in my reply to Mike, I encouraged him to go with ASCAP. And yes, I said I was a BMI writer for 15 years. The last several years or so, I just have not had that great of an experience with some of the people that work at BMI now. There's been a lot of position changes, and a lot of people have gone, and some new people have come in, and I just didn't feel the attention that I used to feel. So that's why I left. Plus, if you would like to sign up as a composer and start a publishing company as well, ASCAP is totally free to do both of those things. So as you're getting involved in this business, you know that there are things you're going to have to pay for. We're going to talk about some of those things coming up, but I think it's important to know what those costs are, but also know what's worth spending money on and what is not worth spending money on, so that you have money to spend in the right places. Part 2 is putting yourself in a position to succeed. So as the first header or point, if you will, under putting yourself in a position to succeed, I highly recommend that you join a performing rights organization. Check out BMI and ASCAP. You can also check out CSAC, but until you receive an invitation from them, you probably want to focus on BMI and ASCAP. After you do that, you want to make sure that any songs that you've written, no matter how old they are or how new they are, they will give you access to their online portal. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you go in and you actually register all the songs that you have to date, so that you start to create a catalog with that performing rights organization. Now, again, I want to say this is not the same as copywriting your songs, but when you do register them with your PRO, with your performing rights organization, you are registering that it is a completed work. You will enter the date of creation of the song, you will enter your name, you will enter the title and any alternate title that the song might have. You're also going to enter co-writer information. If you wrote the song with 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 other people, you're going to be able to enter that information as well. If they have a publishing deal, you'll be able to enter their publishing information, your publishing information, so that everything is straight, so that should that song start developing any revenue at all, your PRO knows exactly where that money's supposed to go, how much of it belongs to you, and then they send you a check. Now, one of the most important parts of putting yourself in a position to succeed is this point right here, and I cannot overstate it enough how important this is. Once you've joined the PRO and you've registered your songs, I encourage you to pick what you think are your 5 or 6 best songs, and you need to have them professionally recorded in Nashville. Something you need to understand is that when you enter this world, you're not competing with the amateur next to you or the amateur over here or the beginning songwriter over here. When you enter this realm and you want to start pitching and getting your songs out there and have that expectation that something will happen with them, you are competing with all of the top songwriters in Nashville. And people like me and people like the guys that I write with and the girls that I write with that are staff songwriters at publishing companies, we put everything into the demo process. I've hated the word demo forever because I don't cut demos. I produce my own personal demos for my publishing company the exact same way that I produced independent records or major label records. There's no real difference to me. I tell people all the time that the difference between a record and a demo is in the mindset of the producer, the writer, and the players in the room that are playing on the record. So I don't believe in cutting demos. I don't go to demo houses and pay $500, $650, $750 for this studio in town that does nothing but demos to do my demos for me. The reason is because the product sounds exactly the same as everybody else's. And I don't want my product to sound that way. I want my product to sound like a record, so that when we do pitch that song to an A&R person or an artist or a music supervisor for a television show, it's ready to go. They can already hear it on the radio, and all they have to do is go, all I have to think about is what would Blake Shelton's voice sound like on top of this. The other reason is we don't really have producers anymore. I can't tell you the number of times that I've heard a song come out, I've heard an artist put it out, and then I hear it on the radio, and then I know the guy that wrote the song, and I've heard his demo, and it's nothing but a replication. The single that you hear on the radio is nothing but a replication of the songwriter's demo that he turned into his publishing company. So you don't want to leave what something could be, the essence of a song, what it could be, up to anybody's imagination. You want to paint every color in that picture and show them exactly what that song can sound like. The only way to do that is to professionally record them in Nashville. Not if you're, I'm sorry, but if you're in New York, or you're in Montana, or you're in North Dakota, or you're in Northern California. Everybody knows somebody that has a studio. But I'm telling you, no hit records are coming out of those studios. It's just a fact, and I'm not being rude towards anybody, but it's a fact. No hit records are coming out of those studios. It's important that your demos sound exactly like the hit songs that are on the radio. That is of the utmost importance. That's why several years ago, I started having songwriters reach out to me all over the world and go, hey, would you produce my demos for me? And I'm like, okay, I don't normally do that, but since my process is the same as producing a record as producing a demo, I mean, I guess I could. So I actually started producing demos for songwriters all over the world. It's something that I absolutely love doing because it's important to me that those of you that want in this business and those of you that want a real shot at getting cuts in this business have the tools necessary. And you aren't going to get anywhere in this business as a songwriter if your songs sound like demos, or you've done a guitar vocal or a piano vocal, or you've put a loop down and you've got a great vocal. That doesn't matter. That song needs to sound like a hit on the radio already. If it's something you're interested in, if you're out there and you would love me to produce your songwriter demos, I do it several times a month. I book several sessions. All you have to do is contact me and let me know. Send me an email, shoot me an email. It's thestevefreeman@gmail.com, or you can also go to my website and find out all the information there. And again, that's thestevefreeman.com. But whether I do it, whether somebody else does it, it doesn't matter. What you need to know and what you need to take away from this and understand is that those songs and the sonic quality of them and how they sound, that is your business card. If you want somebody to take that business card and actually give you a call for your services, it's going to have to be just as good as the best that's out there. And I'm going to tell you guys, there is really great stuff out there. I'm not the only one that approaches things this way and does my demos this way. But I will tell you that those of us that do stand a lot better chance and actually get more cuts than other people. It's all about how that demo sounds, all about how that demo makes that A&R person feel. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, there's a phrase that gets thrown around Nashville a lot, in LA a lot as well, but I hear this all the time, and it's often the first initial reaction to something that they're hearing is we hear this all the time. It sounds like a hit. Well, they're not talking about the lyrics. They're not talking about how clever your phrasing was or your rhyming scheme. When they say it sounds like a hit, they're talking about the production. They're listening to that first and foremost. The lyrics are secondary. Sometimes they even come third or fourth. Artists, record labels, and A&R staffs are looking for those songs that sound like hit records. It's your responsibility to make sure that your songs sound like hits. Also in Mike's email, he said something about, is there a way to get artists to cut your songs without being an artist yourself? And the answer to that question is absolutely. I want to talk now about one of the steps in that process. If I were you and I were a new songwriter or an amateur songwriter and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm watching this video and I'm thinking, okay, I know I've got the talent to do this. I'm willing to do everything Steve's talking about. But let's say I get my 5 or 6 songs together and I have them professionally produced. They sound like hits. What now? What do I do now? So I want to talk about that a little bit. As I said before, one of the best ways to get cuts in this business is to be a staff writer for a publishing company, or have some sort of an arrangement with an established and reputable publishing company that already has those relationships with the A&R reps, with the record labels, with the managers, with the people that matter, and more importantly, actually with the people that make the decisions on which songs get cut. So if I were you, what I would do is I would take those 5 or 6 songs that I have completed, and I would start looking up publishing companies in Nashville. Look up major publishing companies, independent publishing companies. Look up everybody that you can find and start sending your songwriter demo out to those people. Research and find out who the people are at those companies that you need to send them to. Normally it's a creative director, or it's the creative director's assistant, but do your research, find out who these people are at these different publishing companies, and send them a copy of your 5 or 6 songs. See if there's any interest whatsoever in that initial contact, in that initial exchange. Find out if there's any interest on their part whatsoever about maybe talking with you about signing with their publishing company. There's also another option, because that doesn't happen very often. There's a phrase that goes around town a lot called "you must be present to win." And I know probably 98% of you guys that are watching this right now, you don't live in Nashville, and you may be in a situation with a family or a job or whatever it might be that you just can't pick up and move to Nashville, and that's completely understandable. But you can also have representation within Nashville, and you could also approach some of these publishing companies. If they like what you do enough, then one of the things that you could do is called a co-publishing deal. And that is where you kind of become a staff writer for the publishing company. They will take your catalog and your songs, and they will actually go out and they will pitch them to artists. They will pitch them to A&R reps. They will pitch them to managers and music supervisors for sync. They'll do all that for you, but they aren't paying you as a staff writer. What happens is, most of the time, you guys end up splitting the publisher share. Sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 70-30. Sometimes it's a back-end deal where if they get something placed or they get something cut, then they get a certain percentage of that. But that's called a co-publishing deal, where you actually have a joint venture with that publishing company. And if you're one of the 98% I'm talking about that don't live in Nashville, and moving to Nashville is not a possibility, that very well may be the best scenario for you, and that is to reach out to all these publishing companies. Find out if they have interest. Get some feedback on what they think about your songs, and keep all of that written down. Keep it somewhere so that you know what all these people are saying. And then if they do have interest, tell them that you're interested in a co-publishing situation where they will represent your catalog for a percentage of the publishing, or a piece of the back end should they get something done. Make it an incentive-based deal where if they believe in your songs enough, then they will take them. It's almost like a consignment sale. So they take your songs, although we don't sell our songs, let's not forget, we don't sell them. So the consignment thing is right, yes, but you understand what I'm saying. They take your songs, they will go out and they will pitch them, and on an incentive basis, if they make something happen with them, then they get a piece of the profits. That's always a good way to go. Okay, another thing that you can do is, while you're in the process of maybe trying to get that publishing deal, or talking with the publishing company about maybe a co-publishing venture or something like that, is, and I delicately get into this, and I'm going to be brutally honest about this. There's going to be some people in town that really don't like me saying this, but that's never stopped me before, has it? And that is this: you can always look around Nashville. There are a couple different independent song pluggers that I think are really hard workers. They really do the work. They do the job. A large part of the song pluggers in Nashville are a complete scam. They aren't worth the money. They have absolutely no shot whatsoever of getting your song cut. They might have had success 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but they certainly don't have any success recently. And as a part of that, I want to remind you that it's important, when you get into this business, work with people that are relevant today. I don't want to say anything negative or bad about people that may have done some great things once, but they're just not relevant today. If you want your product to be relevant today, you have to work with people that are relevant today. You have to work with producers that are are producing hit records today, or that have a track record of success over the last several years. Wasting your time and your money with people that had success 25 years ago, the business was different then. The relationship atmosphere was completely different. And the people that are now in charge and calling the shots are not the same people that they were then, meaning that those people don't have the relationships that it takes to get stuff accomplished and get stuff done today. The same goes with independent song pluggers. There are, however, a couple of song pluggers in Nashville. I will not name them in this video, but if you'd like their name or you'd like their number, all you have to do is hit me up on the website, shoot me an email, and I will give you their contact information. But these are two independent song pluggers that I know do the work. They have the relationships, they have great ears, they know what songs to pitch to what artists and which A&R people. They do have the relationships, like I said, and they actually do the work. You know, so much of this business boils down to people that actually do the work. It's persistence and consistency, which oddly enough will be point number 3 coming up in a second. Successful people you will find in this business, if you look around and you want to find the reason behind their success, it's because they were persistent and they actually got up every day and did the work. So while you're looking for that publishing company, or while you're waiting on other things that you're working on to happen, if you think that you'd like to hire an independent song plugger, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. What I'm saying is there are only a couple of people that I would actually trust in Nashville. There are a couple that I have actually worked with in the past when I had my own publishing company, and I know what they did for me. And it's so funny how it happens. I just got an email the other day from one of these independent song pluggers that I worked with over a year ago. He just emailed me the other day and said, "Hey, I wanted to let you know this song that I pitched that you wrote with Kylie Morgan, it just got cut. I got an email from Dolly Parton's producer, Kent Wells. He's working with a new artist. They want to cut this song. It's one I'd pitched him over a year ago." So yes, independent song pluggers can work. But like I said, there's only 2, maybe 3 that I would actually trust with my music first and foremost, and that I would trust with my money, because yes, they do charge. Let's get briefly into that. Independent song pluggers can get paid in several different ways. Most of them charge a monthly retainer for the work, because they are getting up every day and they are doing a lot of work. They're sending a lot of emails, they're making a lot of phone calls. They make pitch reports at the end of every month so that they tell you exactly what songs they've pitched and who they've pitched them to. Which is very useful information, and a lot of times they even give you back the comments. So if Keith Urban's record label, if Capitol didn't like this song for Keith Urban, most of the time they'll tell you why they didn't like it. And information is king, information is power. So the more you know, the more you know, and the better off you'll be. You can take that information, incorporate that into your process of writing songs, and the better you'll get. So should you hire an independent song plugger? I can't say that you shouldn't, but I will say there's only a couple that I would trust. And if you'd like their information, like I said, hit me up through the website or shoot me an email, and I will be more than happy to give you their contact information. I will say they're very picky at the clients that they take on. That's another reason that I like these 2 people in particular. They don't just take on anybody that can pay them. They actually sit down, they listen to the songs, and they only work with people that they feel like that they can get songs cut on. And that's saying a lot in a business that just doesn't have the best of reputations when it comes to morality. But these 2 people do. They're honest, they're fair, and that's all you can really ask for when you're entering a business relationship with anybody. So on the subject of song pluggers, here's the one thing you got to understand. If you don't do something with your songs, if you don't have them pitched, or you don't create a relationship with a publishing company, you're not ever going to get a cut. So, you know, songs that sit in drawers don't get cut. So you have to have that activity. You have to get up every day and do the work. The people that are helping you have to get up every day and do the work too. One of the other things I want to talk about, and this is probably one of the most important things with putting yourself in a position to succeed, especially as a songwriter, is we've said that this is a relationship business. And yes, it is, but it's a relationship in every kind of sense of the word. You need the relationship with managers, or you need the relationships with artists, but you also need the relationship with other songwriters. If you're going to come to Nashville, which I highly recommend, and spend 3 or 4 days, Reach out to other artists, reach out to other songwriters, collaborate. This is a collaborative business. I can't think of the last song that topped the charts or even that's anywhere. You pull up the Billboard chart today. I don't think there's a single song in the top 100 that was written by one person. They're not. They're written by 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, even sometimes 5 and 6 people. Beyonce had 19 songwriters on one song on her last record. So the importance of collaboration is paramount, because you got to think the same things that I'm telling you, all of these other songwriters are implementing into their career. When you put 2 or 3 or more songwriters in a room, maybe 2 of them have publishing deals and you don't. Well, that gives that song that you're going to write that day 3 times more outlets than just a song you wrote by yourself. If you're co-writing a song and there are 2 of you, what if that other person has a publishing deal or that other songwriter has the relationship? That just gives that song that much more of an opportunity to go somewhere and actually make some money and go to that next level. So collaboration is one of the most important parts of songwriting. And you want to find as many different people in as many different places as you can. Search songwriters that have publishing deals. Reach out to them, ask them to write. I know this is a difficult thing to do because most writers do not like. I swear to God, of all weeks, I think everybody in the damn neighborhood is getting their yard cut today. So let's go inside. How about that? All right, I think we're safe. Nobody's going to be mowing grass inside. So anyway, what I was going to say is I understand that that's a hard process. I understand that you've probably reached out to songwriters before, and especially artists, and that they typically don't want to write with new writers. And I was in your shoes once, and I understand that. It's very frustrating. But you also have to understand that it is also a time management thing. If you put yourself in their shoes, would you rather spend the day writing with somebody who had never had any success, or would you rather spend the day writing with somebody who has a track record of success? If you're honest with yourself, you'll tell you that you would probably spend the day writing with the person that you have the best chance and likelihood of that song that you create actually going somewhere and doing something. Another thing that I highly suggest you start doing is looking out in your local area. Who are the artists that you feel like are up and coming in your local music scene or in regionally or in your state? Look to collaborate and work with some of these artists on the ground floor before they get signed. Start creating a relationship with them. It's no different than a hot air balloon. Everybody gets in the hot air balloon when it's on the ground, and then they pull the cord and the air takes it to the top. Find as many hot air balloon baskets as possible that you can jump in. Look out, identify these artists that you think are very talented and invite them to collaborate, because you never know where that artist might be 1 year from now. Personal example for me, I got a call from a publishing company that asked me if I'd be willing to write with this new artist in town. And I said, sure, why not? Let's do it. She didn't have a record deal. She didn't even have a publishing deal at the time. And I said, you know what? Absolutely, let's do it. So we set a date and we got together and we started writing together, and we found that we really liked the style of song that we were writing. And she even mentioned that in other rights that she was getting booked in, that these other songwriters really wanted to go in this other direction and take songs in a completely different way, but that she wanted to write material for her as an artist. And none of them really did, but I did. I was there to write whatever it is that she wanted to, because I was investing my time as a songwriter into her as an artist. So I wanted to do whatever she wanted to do. So that's why she liked writing with me, because we went down that path. We let it go wherever she wanted to go, and started writing songs for her artist career. Fast forward 2 years, she now has a record deal. She now has a publishing deal, and she just put out her first single. Her name's Abby Anderson, and she just put out a single called Make Him Wait, and that song is shooting up the charts. And I've been writing with her for 2 years. You have to be willing to invest yourself in things that aren't always at the goal level that you're trying to reach. You know, I tell people all the time, the music business is like the stock market. You want to get in when the price is low and sell when the price is high. You have to think about your songs and the people that you collaborate with in the exact same way. Don't be afraid to reach out to these local artists that you think are very talented. Collaborate with them. You never know where their journey's going to take them. You don't know that in a year or 2 years from now, that artist that you created a relationship with when nobody else wanted to create a relationship with them turns out to be the artist that's number 30 on the charts this week. And that, guys, is the easiest way to get a cut, is writing with the artist. Okay, guys, we've hit on it a couple times earlier, but the third and final point that I want to go over with you is, like I said earlier, it's being persistent and consistent. This isn't a business where you think you've got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 songs and you go cut those songs and you think those are going to be the ones. And you do that and then you don't follow them up. What I do personally, and I'm not saying that you should do this, but what I do is I write all month long. I'll write for 3.5 of the 4 weeks of the month. And then I go into the studio and I cut the best 5 or 6 songs that I've written that month. I do it every single month so that I have fresh content out into the marketplace. And if you're going to take my advice and you are going to produce these songs the right way, and you're going to work with a song plugger or a publishing company, they will tell you that the most valuable thing that you have are your songs. The more you have of them, the more potential there is for something to happen. You have to think of it like a funnel. The more you put in the top, the more will drop out the bottom. I'm not saying that you have to do what I do and cut 5 or 6 songs every month, because it is expensive to do. But I say that you create a schedule. Maybe you do 5 or 6 songs every quarter, and you pick every 3 months or every 4 months, I'm going to cut 3 or 4 or 5 songs, and I'm going to start adding that to my catalog to give me more ammunition. And that's exactly what you've got to think of it like. Think of it as a clip and a gun. If you were heading into a war zone, would you rather have a clip with 3 bullets in it or 5 bullets in it, or would you rather have a full clip? You'd rather have a full clip, I'm telling you. Your songs are the exact same way. Your catalog builds value with the deeper that catalog gets and the more songs you have in it. So come up with a plan that works for you financially. And a part of this is also realizing yourself and understanding your limits and knowing that every song you write isn't great. That's a hard lesson to learn. We as creatives think everything we do is amazing. And then we've got this close circle of people around us that reinforce that because they love us and they want to tell us that everything we do is great. But if you can start to get a critical eye on your work, and you can write 10 songs and you go, okay, of these 10 songs, these 2 are really great. I really want to cut those. Or maybe there are no great songs in those 10. Maybe you need to write another 10 to get to those 1, 2, or 3 really good ones. Be the best critic of your work that you can possibly be. Be a hard critic on your work. Because I can promise you, the harder you are on it, the thicker skin that you're going to get. Because when you start getting response from outside people, people look for an opportunity to be negative. Nobody wants to be positive. So you're not going to get that positive reinforcement that you're looking for. But if you've already looked at your material with a critical eye, you're helping build up that immunity and build up that thick skin, so that when you do hear comments back about your songs, it doesn't absolutely tear you down. You've already gone through that process. You've already been hard on yourself and critical of yourself, and you've used that to narrow the scope of your work. And it also helps you narrow down the songs that you actually go into the studio and produce, that you actually try your best to get out there or give to a publishing company or give to an independent song plugger to take out into the marketplace. So be consistent, guys. You have to come up with a schedule and you have to stick with that schedule. Consistency is the key to success in just about any business you want to be in, but I can promise you that if you're not consistent in the music business, you will never win. Persistent is the other side of that. Keep emailing publishers. Keep reaching out to local artists. Keep following the dream. I said in a previous video before that if you want to succeed in anything in life, that all you have to do is think of success as a train and your journey and your path to success as train tracks. And it's your sole responsibility to get up every day and put yourself in the middle of the tracks so that when that train comes by, it has no other choice but to hit you. So it's great that you have the dream, but guys, be persistent with it. Work at it every day. It's a full-time job. And I understand a lot of you may be doing this part-time, or you're trying to build this up to where you can do this full-time. You can't attempt the music business part-time. Even if you have a full-time job doing this, or you're a stay-at-home mom, or no matter what it is that you're doing, which we all know stay-at-home moms That's beyond a full-time job. So if you're doing that and wanting to grow your songwriting career, God bless you. Because my wife's a stay-at-home mom and I wouldn't want her job for anything on the face of the planet, and she certainly doesn't make enough money for what it is that she does. But my point here is that you've got to aggressively pursue this dream. You've got to work at it day after day after day. You've got to work at it through the positives. You've got to work at it, more importantly, through all of the negatives that are going to come your way. But I promise you that if you get up every day and you're consistent and you're persistent and your work gets better and better and better, you're only doing the most important thing you can do, and that's get up and place yourself in the path of success. The last thing I want to say, guys, is sometimes hard for people to hear, and that is songwriting is a craft and a talent. It can't be taught and it can't be learned. You either have it or you don't. Yes, the more you do it, the better you'll get. But the great songwriters, the songwriters that you're trying to emulate, that you want that kind of success, those guys didn't learn it and they weren't taught it. It's a craft. And they worked day after day after day, improving their craft and enhancing their talent. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. That's what I'm saying, guys. You gotta be consistent and you gotta be persistent. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this week's video all about songwriters. Mike, thank you so much for the email. If any of you have any questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to ever shoot me an email or drop a comment in the comment section below. If you've got a question, I'll do exactly like I did today. We'll do a video on it. I'll upload it and answer your questions. So Mike, thank you for your email, and I look forward to hearing from all of you guys as well. Some big news is coming up. We're gonna be starting the live stream. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm trying to decide what night of the week we're going to do it on. If you have a night that's preferential for you, let me know. Drop it in the comment section below. Guys, if you like today's video, smash that thumbs up button for me. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscription button, but make sure you hit the bell notification icon next to it so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Guys, until next time, keep being creative, keep pressing the boundaries, and there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you next time.